exhibition in Switzerland, France, Germany, the UK, Sweden, Greece, India, the US, and Australia. She is a co-founder and responsible of the SARNT research group's Sense of Forest, Sense of Place, on the possibility of perception as an artist research method in the eco and energetic system forest. Thank you, Franziska. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you so much for listening to the pigs in the animal industry. So, as you were mentioned, I'm specialized in the animal ethics and environment ethics in artistic practices and artistic research, and my main questions are: in our Western culture, animals and humans are set apart in value.
Franziska, we can't hear you.
I was referring to the actually pigs in particular, but it could also be other animals with the gelatine. So I would like to share with you and walk you through my research and idea, my ethical questions, and planning and building and showing my artwork with jelly gums on the pack of the pig. So all started with a potential work we had to do. I think it was 2015 in my master's studies. With an ethical approach. And thinking about this potential artwork I had to do, I was standing in front once of the sweets in our local grocery, and I was thinking about the jelly gums and the animal forms. I knew the jelly gums were produced with gelatin, but I never thought about the source of this ingredient. So I started to researching in the internet from what material are jelly gums made, and came quickly, of course, to gelatin. The companies informed me on their web pages the main source of gelatin, how it is produced, and for which production gelatin is used for. So I have I made a little graphic up. So you see the pigs, and I was informed in a former conference that these images of the pigs in the pig industry is quite friendly, but I chosen this because it's quite friendly. We all know how most of the animals are treated in animal industry. So on the above left, you have the pigs. On the image below is the huge amount of waste, and this waste goes in other productions like cat food and gelatin. And you see the pig fat actually, and the pig fat is produced in a long process of many steps into gelatin. So I found the web page gelita.com, and they told me that gelatin is pure protein and natural foodstuff. What is quite not true, because it's really processed, made, and very far away from the pure protein. It's made from the skins of pigs and cows, or from animal bones, also fish bones, I read. They contain the collagen protein that we use to manufacture gelatin. They say very friendly. They have also quite an interesting commercial video about 6 minutes. If you want to see that, because I didn't introduce it now here because I didn't have the time for it, but you can go on YouTube and see for the Gelita gelatin, and then you find this commercial film. So mostly mostly consumers, and of course, in particular, children usually ignore or simply don't see the origin of gelatin because it's such an artificial product. It does not refer anymore to anything, something living. So for this potential artwork, I had the main question: how can I make the hidden pig visible again? How can I show the missing link? And I think this missing link is extremely important and a high obstacle in thinking in animal ethics, about you have to do a lot of research sometimes to find something that, if you can eat it or not, or if it's referring to animal cruelty. And for me, it was like, okay, the missing link is the pig. So what was my potential artwork was actually a huge sitting pig in, I suppose it would be 35 square meters, and all this jelly comes in form of animals form a sitting pig. And the sitting pig, I wanted to have the back, to show the back of this pig, because we have in German, I think also in other languages I learned, we have um, this quote, on the back of someone says, do something by which someone has to suffer, or do something for the disadvantage of someone else. And my title would be on the back of the pig. So I presented this in the master class, and the ethicist was asking me, if you choose to exhibit, would you face an ethical dilemma? And I was telling them, I don't know, because it's just the potential artwork. So I don't think about exhibiting it. So when we have in Switzerland, in the region of Bern, with several cantons, we have an annual Christmas exhibition where you can submit works. And was like, okay, I'm going to the challenge because it's so huge, this art piece, it's not going to be exhibited, but I'm going to submit this piece actually. So I submitted this sketch with the sitting pig and the jelly gums in a form, but which was divided in different rooms, with different rooms. My idea was that you never see the whole industry of the animal industry, so you see always part of it. Maybe you have the meat on your table, or you have the jelly gum, or you have other ingredients. You never see the whole. So finally, my project was accepted, and that was that was quite a shock. That was in 2015 in winter, and the Musée Jurassien des Arts Moutier in Switzerland, they were offering the whole hall actually. So my ego was quite challenged, and my next question was, because I couldn't make a decision, it was also, I knew it was a lot of work to do in preparation. Can I use material from animals and involving myself into the killing of pigs to raise a discussion about animal industry? And how can I make a decision? So I contacted my professor in the masterclass, which is an ethicist, and discussed this matter with him. And actually, the key question was, do you really want to exhibit or not? Because if you don't want to make an exhibition, with this piece, we don't have to go further in the discussion. And he was also asking me, is it really worth to initiate the discussion about anime industry farming and to reveal the peak behind the jelly gum? So this means, does the end justify the means? My end would be assess the invisible gelatin production process. My mean would be having to work with pig gelatin and therefore buy and receive jelly gums. So finally, I decided to exhibit, what was quite a challenge because I wanted to have 35 square meters and I didn't know how many kilos I need with jelly gums to buy. So I did a square meter of jelly gums, how I wanted to put them on the floor to see if it first works, because I did never see it before. I did just see the sketch I made. And then I had to plan 200 kilos. So what you see here upside down actually is 25 square meters. And you see the pink rounds. These are 1 full kilos, and the blue one and green one are half kilo or quarter kilo. So I could have the possibility to count it. So what was I tried is to find companies, to find rest products actually that I didn't have to buy a full product that they would sell in stores. But I learned they didn't have byproducts. It doesn't exist with jelly gums. So what I did buy them directly in Switzerland from companies with a special price, and I didn't go over stores. So I was not involving myself in this circular selling of jelly gums. So I kept quite my independence, and I was not sponsored by any manufacturer or distributor. So I'm going to show some slides how we, my friend and actually my father helped me to build this carpet of jelly gums. And this was the first day. On the left above, you see some little labels where I could measure the form. And I started with the nose. So this is a friend of mine. And you see here the nose, the ear, 2 ears, and actually a bit of the body on the right side. So we had 2 days to install. And it was very nice because it was on a really nice floor to show it. So I think this was on the first day in the evening. And this was on the second day. So the images are not quite good sometimes because I had an old iPhone 8. And this is the final piece. What for me was important that it was actually a coincidence that the people they came from the back of the big inn, as where you're sitting now in front of your computer. This would be the entrance. And they had to go around the pig head and in between the first leg to see the whole pig. So that was quite nice. And this is the opening, and it was quite nice, the opening, because a lot of people asked questions, and I had also discussions about animal ethics and the animal farming industry. And was also very interesting. I found that there were also children at the opening, and they did not try to take a jelly gum or eat one. I think it's surprising that in a museum you expect an art piece, and you read it as an art piece. You don't read it as a jelly gum you can eat. That was interesting to experience. So with this art piece, actually, I proposed to unlearn and relearn, and I found out in the years after this art piece that this unlearn, and relearn is very important for many people, inclusive myself, to unlearn how I learned about eating or using or going to the zoo, or look the gaze on animals. Actually, with this artwork, I wanted to destabilize the viewer in order to reorient his gaze and his thoughts about animal processed food. And this artwork is the missing link. And finally, my question is, and I'm not sure if I have already answered this question in a positive way. Can an artwork initiate empathy upon non-human sentient beings in factory farming and modify consumer behavior? I know that the art world is a bubble, a very small bubble, and a lot of people don't have access to this art world, or even they don't have they need so much to survive their daily life that art is not an option to go to look at. So with this art piece, I had very interesting discussions. I had also a work, how do you say, the museum organized a work discussion on one evening, and this was very interesting to discuss this with people, and they clearly saw the missing link, and that they also shared their experience with eating meat or not eating meat, or how they consume meat. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for listening to the piece.
Thank you, Franziska. If you can stop. Yeah, thank you. It's really a wonderful piece, and I have so many questions, but we don't have a lot of time. So let me start with two of them. First of all, I wanted to know a little bit more, if you can share us about your deliberations during this project. I mean, how is it to use an animal product for this project? I mean, you shared this with us, but I would really appreciate it if you can talk about it a little bit more. It is an ethical dilemma, and I was wondering how did you feel when you were doing it? And the second question is, how did people reacted in the exhibition? I mean, did they ask you questions? Were they astonished by what they of what they saw? I mean, can you share with us their reactions? Thank you.
Yes, sure. What was very, very interesting is that you come into the space, to this exhibition space, and actually you don't see anything, you just see colors. And I think this colors was very attractive to people. And I also think that the industry really worked with these colors. I mean, you see all this wrapped sweets, chocolate, everything. I mean, it's calling you to buy. And I think this was, it came in many newspapers, it came in TV, it was really something that it was an eye catcher. I didn't expect that because for me it was a very hard work. It was really 3 months full work somehow, and I had another exhibition too. So what was they had actually the exhibition text. So when they read the text, they didn't have to ask me. That was a bit a problem. It's always a bit a problem with the exhibition that when you have openings and you have group exhibitions, mostly you have no name, so people don't know who you are. You could be the visitor or you could be the artist. So just people who knew me, they actually they knew the process, so they didn't ask me about that. But what was interesting that I also wanted with this piece, and I have a lot of, not a lot of it, I have many works where on the floor, and I think actually I don't know where to look at. I don't know where my camera is, so I just look somewhere. Um, so I like that people have to go down to the floor to see, because it's also the kneeling is a respectful thing, and also sometimes you have to go closer to see uh, the whole um, the whole process, or the whole connections between things you're not so sure. So you have to go dig deeper, and sometimes you have really to go and look very close. So people were, I think, I mean, this also the biggest piece actually. So, and the whole thing was in the hall, and people were quite interested in the process actually. The piece is one thing, but then they were, when we were talking about this piece, they were really interested why I did it and why I did it so big. And I wanted to have it so big because the industry is so big. I could have it bigger, but I mean, I couldn't organize it bigger actually. So that is the first question. I don't know if it's answered. I'm not sure if I can answer it. I know I mean, I had a visitor that told me when he saw the piece, when his son saw the piece in the TV, he asked about the jelly gums, and he said to his son, he was about 6 years old at this time, he said, "Yeah, these are from pigs." And the son said, "I will never eat again jelly gums." So that's very nice, actually. I don't know if it happened, but it's a very nice reaction to that this missing link is working. And the second question about the ethical question, actually, what I didn't tell is I went to a shamanic to a woman who worked shamanic actually, and I asked her if she could ask the nation of the pig um, if I could do this artwork, because I was really desperate. I mean, when you, as an artist, it's sometimes difficult to have these exhibitions and to know people. And when you have this huge opportunity to have the whole hall, I mean, your ego is so flattered that you will do this. So I was like, oh, I have to go to the nation of the pig and ask if it's okay. And they told me it's okay because it's going to be spread this message of, look how we suffer. And this was finally my decision to speaking for the pigs. And I mean, I have 200 kilos, but when you think how many tons, I don't know how many thousands of tons per year in Germany, they produce jelly gums. It's nothing. So it's, for me, it's, I can't be 100% positive, but I think the way it took this this piece from conference to conference and speaking about it, it's okay. I don't know if I would do this one more time, but it's okay.
Thank you
Sorry,
very
I'm
much.
sweating. We have enormous hot here, so I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for your answers. We have time maybe for one final question. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to ask something? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Franziska.
Thank you so much.
We were happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure. Thank you.